Classic Creatures, Return of the Jedi will continue.
Otto, are you sure this is the right place?
When C-3PO and R2 passed through the giant gate of Jabba the Hutt's palace, they entered a dark and mysterious world where once they might have encountered a single, terrifying monster. Now, on what is actually the set of Jabba's palace, the two droids discover a cavern full of bizarre and gruesome characters. It required hundreds of support people to service Jabba and his band of illegal aliens. Each creature represented a different culture and spoke a different tongue. They did, however, have two things in common. They all suffered from the heat. Their costumes became fur-covered saunas. And they were all called by strange-sounding names.
Yeast, Toothface, Squidhead, Bubo, 6-6, Hermioodle, Yakface, the Toadstool Terror, Rockwart, Nycto, Weeba, Oolan, Woof. I worked with all those creatures, had lunch with them, let some of them borrow my hairdryer. It sometimes was hard to believe that most of them were just so much aluminum tubing, steel rods and pipes and vinyl air hose. At times they could really get to you, though. Give you the creeps. Give you the feeling that maybe they could bite.
Biting was a favorite pastime of the earlier film monsters. With occasional timeouts for tag team wrestling. Creatures from the early cinema took bites out of whatever they could sink their teeth into. And if they weren't biting, there was always the ever-popular Monster Mash. Some, like the giant Peeping Kong, misbehaved because he was misunderstood and would give you the once-over, or the twice-over, or the third and fourth-over. Not all film creatures are enemies. Some are allies, like the Tauntaun in The Empire Strikes Back. The inanimate miniature Tauntaun was put in motion by the then-bearded Phil Tippett. Tippett was originally a special effects wizard. He helped bring Star Wars creatures to life by photographing them one frame at a time, making slight adjustments of the creature before each shot. Tippett put the powerful dragons in Dragon Slayer into motion by refining this craft. Utilizing a computer which moves camera and creature simultaneously, the new technique, called Go Motion, makes the creature seem to move more fluidly than ever before. After Dragon Slayer, Tippett drew the assignment as Chief Monster Maker for Return of the Jedi. With a little help from his friends, he was in charge of designing, building, and caring for the motley crew. This included the gargantuan job of packing and shipping them from their home base in California to the sound stages in England.
Hey, say, does anybody know what the in-flight movie is? Oh, I hope it's Raiders. Ah!
Tippett, Stuart Ziff, and other monster makers built some of the costumes of the creatures in the film to fit themselves. They thought they might have to join Chewbacca and the Ewoks in front of the cameras.
Give my regards to Princess Leia.
Old friends, and some not so old friends, accompanied them on the flight. Work began on the first of the creatures in June 1981. 6 months later, they were off to work at Elstree. Work was to attend to and amuse the mighty Jabba. Among those who toiled to please Jabba was an outrageous intergalactic rock and roll band. The lead vocalist was Miss Snooty. She was backed by Droopy, the reed man, and a keyboard man who is the blues.
That's real good.
Down you go, Billy.
Basically background, Max Rebo's band became an unusual focus for George Lucas.
They're just a whim that George has really pursued and has seemed to really be interested in and has a lot of fun with, although they occupy one line in the script that says something like, and then the band started up.
I feel my heart pumping. Ooh, my whole frame.
Lucas instructed that the vocalist have her own number. Composer John Williams wrote the music. His son Joseph wrote the lyrics. For the film, the song would be translated into Huttese, Jabba's language. Miss Snooty is a complex combination of rod puppet and marionette. She owes her most outrageous feature to George Lucas.
I went in to see the first mock-up of her, and she had these little teeny lips, and it just occurred to me, wouldn't it be great with on the end of this long snout of these giant red lips, Mick Jagger lips.
For close-ups and synchronization, Miss Snooty becomes a hand puppet.
Kiss me. Kiss me.
Miss Snooty is not only a classic creature, but a classic party animal. She pleases Jabba. She entertains him. But finally, Jabba entertains himself. The most sinister of creatures, Jabba is also the most technologically intricate of all those on the Jedi set. He is the ultimate creation.
Carrie Fisher as Princess Leia got as close to Jabba the Hutt as anyone. The 18-foot-long gangster with runaway hormones took a liking to her and a dislike to Luke Skywalker.
Master Luke, you will bring Captain Solo and the Wookiee to me.
Jabba is unique as a film monster, not only in the way he was built, but in the way he acts. He never stands up, for instance, but he does stand out. Jabba doesn't do anything. He doesn't pluck airplanes out of the air or tear down elevated trains. He just oozes mean. I mean, he's bad. I didn't envy Carrie Fisher. As an actress, she had to figure out how to play off this undulating mass of blubber. Let me ask you something. How do you have a meaningful relationship with a 3-ton slug?
I don't know. I don't think I'll ever be disappointed in the way he looks. He is what he is. That's the thing. He doesn't pretend to be anything else. He doesn't feel the need to be charming or anything. He's just an unpretentious, very straightforward guy. And I love him.
Jabba may be an alien creature, but his cinematic ancestors include some sinister humans.
I mean, he's based on all the sort of evil Sultan-like characters. You know, the large. I guess Sidney Greenstreet would be a good example, and Marlon Brando would be a good example in The Godfather. It's there's always been the sort of rotund, evil Sultan who sat on his bed while people were tortured in front of him.
Over 76 sketches of Jabba were done before designers got down to making clay models for George Lucas's consideration.
we started off with this design for Jabba, which is basically a real sluggy, wormy creature. And George took a look at it and said, nope, not that one. It's too terrible. So we went to another version of Jabba, which is a much more humanoid sort of thing, the forearms. And he said, nope, too human, try again. And we ultimately ended up on this character, this very fat, slug-like creature who looks like he needs a lot of assistance from his entourage.
With the final design approved, the task of building Jabba fell to Stuart Freeborn at the London studios. Freeborn, who also built Yoda, considers Jabba his greatest creation. Jabba was conceived as a giant slug. His tail would have to partly communicate his character and emotion. What may seem simple was actually a complex and complicated mechanical feat. The process for building Jabba included clay models, plastic castings, and intriguing interior frames. With the tail finished and ready to slither, Freeborn and his assistants tackled the head, putting in tiny air sacs to make the outer skin bulge and move when Jabba smiled.
So when you do smile, when you do that function, it really does swell out there.
It should be a fat tongue. Maybe we haven't got the fat.
No aspect of Jabba's anatomy escaped Freeborn's scrutiny.
Right, okay.
As any actor knows, detail builds character.
It should be fatter than that.
Saxophone-like paddles and valves were placed under Jabba's skin. Remotely controlled, they worked with the air sacs to bring Jabba's face alive. Jabba would be able to arch an eyebrow, wrinkle his forehead, express anger and suspicion. Freeborn wanted Jabba to act. It took 2 tons of clay and 600 pounds of latex to form Jabba's incredible hulk. One of the largest problems was baking the clay mold for Jabba's skin. An entire room had to be transformed into a giant Jabba bakery. Next came Jabba's eyes, the mirror to his evil soul, and one of the keys to making his performance come alive. Lucas wanted Jabba to have eyes that could react to the light. The irises had to open and close. The pupils would have to almost instinctively react to what was happening around him. The demands Lucas placed on Jabba's creators pushed them to their limit. What producer Howard Kazanjian and the monster builders finally delivered to the set on the first day of shooting was a fully developed, 3-dimensional being. Once the finishing touches were added, Jabba took his place center stage with the other actors. Jabba was alive, not only because of the men who designed and built him, but now because of the men who operated him.
I do Jabba's right arm and his jaw. With the jaw, I do the lip sync with the voice. Now this is the middle part of the tail, and this little bit is the little end piece, which the way I move it depends on the mood he's in at the time. If he's in a bit of an irritable mood, I just do the little flips like you bang.
Each of the operators had small television monitors, so they could see what they and their partners were doing to Jabba.
Give it a good old thrash on, like that, or backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And if he's in a lazy mood, you just keep it like that, nice, steady movements.
I'm Jabba's left arm, and that goes in here, and my right hand is free inside the head, and basically works this head control, tipping it left and right, front and back, and up and down. I have one other control that can swivel the head, revolve it, and for certain shots I have things like the tongue here.
3 men were inside Jabba, 1 below him.
These 2 controls here are the nostrils, left and right. This one here controls 1 corner of the mouth, and this one's the other.
2 others operated the eyes and eyelids by remote control.
And then he sees him after that line. Dying.
The director talked to Jabbas' interior operators through a microphone.
And I need a laugh from you at that point. A big, mean laugh. Okay, do you understand? Great. One!
On a movie set, there are many ways of communicating.
All right, okay. Don't talk.
6 different people operate Jabba from 6 different vantage points. They must each do different things, yet do them together. Jabba must undulate and ooze as if he were just one being.
Where's my talk drive?
It's a little like patting your head and rubbing your stomach with 6 different hands.
Okay, now look down and put the frog in your mouth. Frog. Let's stick it in your mouth. Right. Cut.
For the first Star Wars, an earlier version of Jabba was planned. He was cut from the film when George Lucas decided he wasn't bad enough. This Jabba had no problem being bad. Here he proposes a monstrous treat for Luke Skywalker and his friends. He has decided to feed them to Sarlacc, a hungry and avaricious desert pit monster.
It's the last mistake you'll ever make.
The fictional Sarlacc resided in the desert waste of the twin sun planet of Tatooine. Actually, it was part of an extraordinary outdoor set built in the Buttercup Valley near Yuma, Arizona. Here, Jabba's 60-foot-high, fully rigged anti-gravity sail barge would loom over the execution of Luke Skywalker's crew. Once devoured, Luke and his friends would die a slow, painful death, being digested inside the stomach of Sarlacc for 1,000 years. The Sarlacc was nothing but a giant, monstrous mouth. The frightening orifice was built over an underground room, rigged with special equipment to break the stuntman's falls. Luke Skywalker and his friends decided not to become part of Sarlacc's menu. Jabba's creature hitmen are no match for Luke's lightsaber.
Get the gun! Point it at the deck!
Once more, the young Jedi Knight overcomes the enemy and manages to rescue the girl. For Luke Skywalker and friends, Jabba and Sarlacc are just bad memories. For others, they are something more, part of a movie creature experience that they'll never forget.
Don't go away. We'll be right back.